Hey guys, welcome to, this episode. If you've tuned into 6A, 5A, 1A through 4A, or one of the Georgia ones I did, or whatever, we have been doing state previews. Coach Shankles and I here in the state of Alabama. I did one with Lucas De Silva over in the state of Georgia. The best part about this is just the opportunity to talk about wrestling. You know, the opportunity to talk about some of the names, what we might see. And honestly, I mean, coach, you're not Nostradamus. I mean, you're going to give your best guess. You're going to tell us what you kind of think, but who knows what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, and as you saw with sectionals, I mean, a lot of our predictions, my predictions were wrong in terms of rankings, right? So, no, it's just we're here, and I think I said it earlier off camera. We're here for the love of the game. I mean, we're here because we love talking about wrestling. We want to promote every one of these athletes and hopefully grow the sport just through media and just making sure that people feel seen, feel heard, and kind of getting the word out and building excitement over these things. So. I know I'm excited. Obviously, we're talking about 7A here. This is my group. Now I'm newly this is my rookie season, but yeah, I'm super excited about it. So yeah, ready to get into it.
All right. Well, and this is honestly, you know, if you're outside the state, or if you pay attention to the state, but maybe just superficially or whatever, the 7A crew, Huntsville's and the Vestavias and the Thompsons and of late the Enterprises and the Smith Stations and different groups, Hoovers, if you're talking historically, and that sort of thing. These are the teams that you kind of know. I mean, not to say anything bad about anybody else, but if I'm having a conversation with people over in Georgia or over in down in Florida or whatever, they know many of these programs and many of these kids that are competing for a 7A state title. So it is a fun classification. The duels were exceptionally fun to watch. And I think this weekend is going to be equally as fun to watch from a 7A perspective.
It definitely is. I mean, yeah, the at least in the north, and obviously I was there and I got to see some of it. You have Thompson beating both Vestavia and Huntsville, which is something that, going into it, you think, okay, Huntsville won the duels, they're number one. Vestavia, they got second, they're number two. Thompson's number three, and then it just completely flips on its head. And so that's the fun part about doing rankings and stuff is a team can show up and prove you wrong. And whatever team's wrestling better, that weekend or this weekend, they're the ones that are going to win. That's how close it is.
Well, that's how close it is, and it was that close in duels. It's also it's a different way of measuring a team. Duels are one way to measure a team. Tournaments are a different way to measure a team, and yeah, man, we're gonna see some of those head-to-head matchups again this weekend. So let's start at 106, where our top seed is Braylon Johnson from Thompson, outstanding freshman. Uh, Two seed is Noah Kraus from Auburn. Three is Ryan McKelvey from Vestavia Hills, and your four seed is Curtis Bryant from Alma Bryant, which is shout out to Alma Bryant. Love to see that program continue to grow and everything else. Um, Braylon Johnson has several losses on the year, but again, Thompson goes to lots of places. They see lots of people. Records are one thing. Um, and this isn't a slight against Auburn, but they have a tendency to kind of more stay in state. They wrestle kind of teams within the state and everything else. Krause's lost is to Galvez, I believe, from Enterprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's in the bracket further down. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. What do you see?
Yeah, Braylon Johnson wrestled 113. Most of the year was kind of a surprise drop. They kind of flip-flopped Walsh and Johnson there for Thompson. That really helped them, I believe. Because Braylon Johnson just, I mean, I'll be up front. He teched everybody. I mean, he dominated the North, and there were some really good wrestlers. You had Jackson Lambert, Ryan McKelvey, Rivers Harbison, Titus Slaughter, and those guys are studs. And yeah, he just kind of ran away with it. The very clear favorite in this weight. Um, But this weight is very fun, and I said it before, but I love 106 because you get a good mixture of kids and kids that for the next few years we're going to be seeing these names a lot in other weight classes,
Mhm.
and they're probably going to be winning a lot of matches. So this is fun. Noah Kraus versus Jackson Lambert in the quarters, a really fun matchup. Ryan McKelvey and Galvez from Enterprise. You know, Galvez does have a win over Noah Kraus, so
Right.
somebody who's really game. Um, and yeah, and Rivers Harbison there at the 5 is a dark horse as well. So these this is gonna be a great weight class. I think we'll probably see a Braylon Johnson Ryan McKelvey final. And Braylon Johnson teched him last time. So um,
Well, and the thing to keep in mind is, you know, so Braylon Johnson, I think for me is penciled in his spot. McKelvey's less penciled in, although much maybe written a little bit lighter or something along those lines. But in the team race and in a team race that could be super competitive, getting to second, I mean, even if you lose to Braylon Johnson in the finals, could be a huge win overall for Vestavia.
Yeah,
As
no, for sure. And they're gonna need it. You know, if you want to make a run, you're gonna have to have a finalist out of him. I mean, there's really no way around it because if not, you know, say he takes fifth, you know, at sectionals he took second, and that's a lot of points difference, especially for advancement points. So just getting to the finals with a person like Ryan would be really big for Vestavia trying to pull an upset over Thompson this week.
All right, we move to 113 pounds, where your top seed is Eli Sanders from Smith Station. Two seed is Matthew Campbell. Three is Micah Swigger from Daphne. Your four seed is Jamison Thomas, sorry, from Oak Mountain. And again, one of those situations where um, Sanders looks like the favorite, but Swigger gave him a match, at least in one of the matches that they had. He actually only decisioned him, I think, at the South Sectionals as well, right?
Yeah, so at sectionals you had well we'll start with the South. Eli Sanders 7-4 over Swigger. He's beaten him I think at this point 3 times. And
Yeah.
they've been good matches, but 3 times is consistent, right? Like 1 time is maybe
Mhm.
lucky, 2 times is whatever, 3 times. I mean, that's consistently beating the same person. So you gotta feel like he's the favorite in that matchup. But Matthew Campbell defending state runner-up, Jamison Thomas defending state champ, Eli Sanders state runner-up, Micah Swigger I think third. So they're all just right there,
All
that
right
level.
there,
Not to
right?
mention Brady Walsh, somebody who had a really good tournament and ended up getting third.
Well,
Um,
Biddle and Dalton Todd, I mean, even further
yeah, I
down
mean
are good wrestlers.
Dalton.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dalton Todd maybe had the upset of the tournament last year, so somebody who definitely has potential to make waves in this bracket. I mean, Jamison Thomas is a Fargo All American. He's at the 4 seed,
Yeah,
so
I
this
know.
that just shows how deep this weight is. But yeah, Eli Sanders is the favorite, but the potential matchups that we're going to see here are just phenomenal. I mean, every single potential matchup. I mean, this could go 100 different ways with these top fours. I wouldn't be mad at anybody for picking a winner out of those top four, maybe even some of the other guys as kind of dark horses. But I do think Sanders is the favorite, and he's been
Well, and
pretty
he has a win
consistent.
against Campbell, I believe, as well.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just really consistent, and I think that'll play off. But again, you can't count out somebody like Jamison Thomas.
Yeah. No, you absolutely cannot. You
So
absolutely cannot.
yeah, and then this is one of those brackets. I think the seeds are good because any one of these four could make the finals, and I'm glad they separated out the North and South with the top four there.
Well, and again, Sanders again, I mean, he has a win against Thomas. He gets three wins against Swigger. He's got a win against Campbell. Um, yeah, definitely the favorite.
Yeah,
But it's a new tournament. We'll see what happens.
anything can happen.
All right, moving to 7A 120. I'm going to skip the one and two. We're going to talk about them in a second. We're going to jump to number three and Joe Mooningham from Hoover. Your four seed is Griffin Gardner from Oak Mountain. There are some really good wrestlers down further on, but Stifler and Simon come in as your top two seeds, and think, is it their only match this year that Stifler actually took him to his back and pinned him at the state duels?
Yeah, that is their only matchup. And I got a lot of flack for posting when I posted my last rankings for keeping Simon as the one seed or in my rankings. And again, it's because when you take somebody straight down to their back, that's not necessarily indicative that you're a complete full better wrestler at this moment. And it could be, right? I could easily be wrong, but I just don't have enough sample data to go by to justify changing somebody who's a two-time state champion and I think Fargo All-American himself. So,
Fargo
yes,
finalist.
yeah, yeah. So, so it's one of those things where you're like, yes, you took him down and you pinned him. But I would have loved to see 6 minutes of that match to really justify a change. Now, does that mean that Stifler can't do the same thing again? Oh, I mean, he definitely can.
Definitely can,
I
right?
mean, he definitely can win. He just did it. So I'm not saying that that's not, and he is justifiably the one seed here. But we'll see. I mean, this is, and it's interesting to note that this is the heaviest Simon has competed at, and I know he's probably doing this because he's going to compete at 25 in college and getting ready to go up to Davidson. So I know that's where that line of thinking is going. But we'll see. Stifler is bigger. He's clearly stronger, and this could go a bunch of different ways. But I do think Simon. I can't. You're never going to see me bet against a two-time state champ, even if he has one loss on the year. It's just not going to happen.
So
So,
I'm going to throw the other side of it in that. So just to throw everybody kind of an idea here, Stifler's losses are to Michael Barnett from Jesuit out of Louisiana. He avenged that loss at the same tournament. His other loss was to Alex Rosas, who is one of the top
it's like 15 in the
120s in the
nation, right?
country.
Yeah.
I mean, Rosas is that good. He lost to Jacob Bucci from Clay, a Florida State placer, Preston Newfield from North Bay Haven, who is a Washington State champion who now wrestles in the state of Florida, and Cohen Hargrove, who won a state title in the state of Georgia. So I love the fact that they go see as good a competition as you can absolutely get. There is no way that either one of these individuals are not battle tested. Where it all plays out, how it plays out, dude, all I would tell you as a fan, go sit down, watch, because like those two individuals will light it up.
Yeah, this should be I mean, one of the, again, we talk about anticipated matchups, one of the most anticipated matchups of the year, or rematches, I should say, um, will be this potential finals here at 120. And I know I'm excited to see it as a
I
fan.
am, yeah. All right, 7A 126. Your top seed is Stone Phillips from Vestavia Hills. 2 is Trey Denny. 3, John Adams from Auburn. 4 is your boy from Bob Jones, Anders Samarga. A very, very good rest of the bracket. I mean, Cordell Lee, who beat Stone Phillips at the state duels, is your 5 seed. Will Atkinson from Thompson, absolute stud, is your 6 seed. I mean, the 26 is great.
I mean, it's the best weight. I've been saying it. I've marked it on my thing. It is the best weight. The seating in this, I wish, and this goes back to just like I wish that Xander was the 3 seed, as a coach, right? Not that I'm worried about him because he's a fantastic. I mean, I've been working him with him for a year now, and he's just a fantastic person and a good wrestler, and he works his butt off and he listens. But just he's only lost to the 1 and 2 seeds. They have the same seed points. He's a state placer, and yet somehow he's down there. So not that it matters. You still got to wrestle matches. But yeah, this bracket is fantastic. You got Will Atkinson, a Fargo All-American at the 6th seed. You have J.D. Shattuck, multiple time state placer. You have Trey Denny. Was Denny another All-American or was he?
I don't
He
think
was
Denny
just
was an all
competing. Okay, but Denny, another really solid wrestler there. Cordell Lee obviously beat Stone Phillips, had another really good finals with Stone Phillips. Somebody who's really came a long way this year. I remember watching him 2 years ago as an eighth grader and noticed he had a lot of potential and really has developed into a very
Mhm.
well-rounded wrestler. And then Stone Phillips, I mean, just fantastic in his own right. Somebody who we've known for a very long time in 7A, um, and always going to be the favorite in whatever bracket he's in. So yeah, this is a brutal bracket. I know we don't shy away from it, and I love it because competitor at heart, you just want to go out and wrestle the best. So
Sure.
it's like I love it. It's fantastic, and you roll the dice and you just wrestle your best, and who knows? This. I was texting somebody earlier, and it's like reminds me of the 2008 NCAA bracket where you're like Brent Metcalf, Jordan Burroughs, like all these names, like Trella and JP O'Connor. You're like, man, this is for Alabama wrestling. Yeah, it doesn't really get much better than this.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, you just look through it and you just know that the level of competition is off the charts. I would take any of the names that you just mentioned and take them anywhere and go compete against anybody around. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and I didn't even pick a finalist because it's
No,
like
it's okay.
because you don't know who.
Yeah.
Like JD Shattuck beat Trey Denny at sectionals, and then Will Atkinson beat JD Shattuck, and then it is just like you just don't know. This bracket is just a big toss up. So
All right, let's jump to 7A 132, where your top seed is your defending state champion and Cameron Stifler. Two is Aiden Morris, exceptionally talented out of Vestavia Hills. Three, Timothy Luttrell out of Smith Station. Joseph Sowell out of Huntsville is your four seed. A really good bracket, maybe not as good of a bracket as 26, but still absolutely talented individuals. I don't know if Stifler and Morris have they seen each other?
I don't believe they've seen each other this year. I could be wrong on that.
Okay, I can
Not
look it up.
not that I know of. But yeah, no, this bracket's great. Defending state champ, senior year, Stifler. I just saw he crossed 200 wins. Congrats to him. Yeah, he's really fun to watch. Really good wrestler. Aiden Morris, transfer from Mortimer Jordan this year, has had a really good season.
Hmm.
I was super impressed with him this weekend. Um, he majors Joseph Sowell in the finals, and I thought that match was going to be pretty close. And yeah, and then you have Austin Owen from Thompson who made a run to third at sectional. Somebody else to look out for.
Yeah.
But yeah, this bracket's really fun. I think the top 4 or 5 are the top 4 or 5. I could see Luttrell maybe upsetting Morris in the semis if they meet there. James Franklin is a name I keep hearing from a lot of people as somebody else to look out for. So fun weight class, but I'm gonna lean with the defending state champ.
All right. Well, and Luttrell, just to give everybody an idea, I think his only losses are to Stifler this year. That said, Vestavia goes and sees lots of really good competition. Stifler has wrestled some really good competition, has more losses, but I mean, because they wrestle some absolute studs. I think he's lost to James Sievers out of Social Circle a couple times, Georgia State champion. So, all right, jump into 7A 138. Your top seed is Denarvius Anderson out of Opelika. Two is Jordan Welson. Three is Bradley Hastings. Four is Gatlin Tate out of Prattville. Five is your wrestler out of Bob Jones, Caden Clark. Six is Charles Noto. Again, another really deep weight. It feels like Gatlin Tate has been at Prattville for forever, for a long time. I think he was wrestling there when he was a seventh grader. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Jordan Welton, obviously, if you've watched Thompson, you know Welton and you've watched him develop over the years. Um, yeah, this is a bunch of seniors. I don't think that any of them have won. Did Narvius? He didn't win
He
it?
lost to Bradley Williams last year in the finals at 44.
So you have a
But
bunch of seniors who are this is their chance. This is it.
yeah, and this is just a super fun weight. Yeah, Denarvis Anderson, the clear favorite. He's beaten Gallon Tate 3 times. I know Tate has one win over him, but it was like a 30-second pin. So you got 3 decisions and one 30-second pin. You're like, well, maybe got caught, right? Three major decision wins is pretty telling. So Anderson is the favorite, defending state runner-up. Bradley Hastings, defending state runner-up. Jordan Welton has made really good strides this year, and I was super impressed with him. Obviously, he beat my guy Caden Clark in the semis at sectionals, and just he's super hard to score on. He's super long, does a lot to like clam you up, and Obviously, super good on top, so he's definitely somebody to look out for. The bottom half of this bracket is just super tough. You got Charles Noto, Josh Abrams in round one. You got Bradley Hastings and Charles Noto, a match that at sectionals and the semis was fantastic. I think Hastings got a Merkel takedown with 2 seconds on the clock.
Mm,
And then the winner of that has to wrestle Welton. And so, yeah, this is a really fun weight. Not to mention Gatlin Tate versus Caden Clark in the sim or the quarters, and then the winner of that has Denarvis Anderson. So just a super fun weight class, super deep weight class. The top six or seven, eight guys in this weight are just studs, just
yeah.
absolute studs. So should be
No,
super fun.
no surprise there. No surprise. All right, jumping to 144. Defending state champion out of Enterprise, Greer Hunt. Two is Quinn Ivy out of Oak Mountain. Three is Turner Hudson. Out of Thompson, Colin Finley is your four out of Vestavia. Um, uh, More names here that I don't know than I do know. Obviously, I know the ones at kind of the top that we talked about with the seeds, but as we get further down, I don't know them as well. I've watched Greer Hunt wrestle several times. He is a hammer.
Yeah, Greer Hunt is an absolute stud. Super strong, super tough to score on, and doesn't really make a whole lot of mistakes in his matches. Just stays in good position. Quinn Ivy, somebody who hasn't had a lot of matches. I don't know if he was. I don't know exactly why he was banged up earlier in the year, but somebody who has had a really good second half of the season, and kind of dominated sectionals, and looked really good doing it. Then you have Turner Hudson, just made the finals. Colin Finley, another. This is really a top heavy bracket minus Greer Hunt, right? Nate
Right.
Williams, state placer from Huntsville last year, not
Yeah.
even seeded here, but wrestles against Carter Lindsay from us, who beat him this past week. So just a really good weight. Super interested to see how this one plays out. Obviously, I hope we can get our guy on the podium, but this top half is super good. I mean, Greer Hunt, one of the best wrestlers in Alabama.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Also, flipping the page as we go to 7A 150, another one of the best wrestlers in the state. Yannick Simon from Huntsville is your top seed. Toby Heimel from Daphne is your two. Brady Hicks is your three. Jack Bess from Hewitt Trustville is your four seed. Luis Melendez, I think he was a transfer from another school to Tuscaloosa County, is your five seed. But I mean, I've watched Yannick Simon compete. I mean, like we don't anoint champions before they go out and compete. There's a whole reason we have that. Anybody can win, definitely. But Simon's on another level as far as the rest of the group goes, from my opinion. In my
Yeah, I'll say this. I've watched both of them wrestle this year. I know Toby Heimel wrestled one of our guys twice, and one of our guys was beating him. And that's not a slight at him because our guy's a really good wrestler too. But Yannick Simon was not having close matches with our guys. So, and he pretty much teched his way through the North this year.
Yeah,
Very tough, very tough. And and Toby Hamill's a good wrestler. He's got a lot of tools in the tool bag. I know he's had some huge throws and like he's just a great wrestler, but that's just a tough task. Simon's not going to get out of position to let you throw him. He's not going to be, he's long, so he really has a way out of a lot of the stuff that Heimel's really good at and known for. So, but other than that, this bracket is pretty fun. You got Sean Sutton, you got Jack Bessie, Brady Hicks. These are some good wrestlers. Luis Melendez. But yeah, I mean Yannick Simon going for another state title.
yeah.
Clear,
Number
clear
three.
favorite. I think his third.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think.
his third. Definitely. I mean, yeah, definitely his third.
All right. Um, Moving to 7A 157, your top seed is Kiowa Vines. Two, Sean Lyden. Three, Bo Reynolds. Four, Greer Manown from Vestavia Hills. Several individuals further down. I don't know how to say the kid's name from Auburn, but I know he's had some good wins this year. Um, but Vines, who I don't think has won a state title, is seems like he's poised to do so in his senior campaign.
Yeah, no, Vines looked really good. He actually did get taken down by Sean Lyden and then reversed him and pinned him. Um, And then, not to mention, Leiden had a very good match with Bo Reynolds, somebody else I could see being a finalist. The only person I feel for in this bracket is Clayton Williams, somebody who's really, really good, won sectionals, and then finds himself on the same side as Kyle Vines. And, you feel for like stuff like this because it's like, again, if they would just cross bracket, you wouldn't run into this situation. I mean, again, you might say, "Oh, well, it's North heavy," and it is. I mean, it definitely is.
It is
But,
North Petty.
again, you would avoid some of this. The seeds would make a little bit more sense, in my opinion, if Williams was the two and Leiden was the three, and you know. Anyways, I say that to say, Kiowa is the favorite, but this is a very interesting weight because Kiowa is bumping up. So
Yeah, he is bumping up. Now, I
he's
will
bumping up.
say, in defense of the seeds, Manown did beat Williams
Yes.
at state
Yes.
duels. So, I mean,
It makes sense. No, for
yeah,
sure. I mean,
yeah.
it makes sense, but
Not all of them make sense,
not
though.
all of them. No, for sure. But it makes sense in this one. But I do feel for him, right? Because it's
Yeah,
like, man, what if you lose and now you're the six? Does your path get better? Is that a better path? Maybe, right?
that's true. All right, so we now move to you could lose and not move down. I mean,
You
given
could lose
so
and stay the five.
doesn't matter. All right, moving to 7A 165. Number one seed Jaden Moore from Thompson, two Cody Sigmund from Enterprise, three Charlie Bucker from Hewitt Trussville, four Aaron McCoy from Tuscaloosa County. Um, pretty open. I mean, like what can I expect from 65? I think it's kind of like a roll the dice kind of situation.
I kind of agree. Like this is I don't know. This is just not one of the deeper weight classes, to be honest. Jaden Moore's a great wrestler. Charlie Buttaker, Cody Sigmund, all these guys are good wrestlers, but one of the more open weights where I really don't know how they match up, and I actually lean Cody Sigmund here.
Although Moore's beaten him,
Although Moore I
right?
think has beaten him, but I think I want to say it was close. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just completely wrong on that one because yeah, this weight is very open.
Yeah,
They probably saw each other at Heart of Dixie.
they did, and Moore beat him at Heart of Dixie. I just don't know what the score was. So
Yeah. So yeah, I mean this is an open weight class. Moore is the favorite, the senior from Thompson, but I wouldn't be surprised to see anybody win this weight. And it's surprising how you can have a weight as deep as like 57, and then you look at 65 and you're like, well, not as, where did everybody go?
yeah,
But a
yeah.
bunch of juniors and seniors. I mean, the only underclassman is our guy, and he's a freshman. Everybody else, junior,
Oh, a
senior.
little
So
Samarga.
a little one, well, a little bigger. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. As we move to 7A 175, and Andrew Sullivan is a fantastic wrestler from Vestavia Hills, Brandon Bethea from Huntsville, Trip Cole from Hewitt Trussville, but um, Brady Campbell is what, a returning two-timer? Is that right?
I believe so. Yes.
Now, I don't know if Campbell and
Andrews
Sullivan have wrestled.
Andrew Sullivan is a state champ last year, I believe, as well, or maybe
Is
state
he?
runner up.
Okay.
They met in the finals. I saw this on a Facebook post, so I'm not. I need to verify this. Somebody said they met in the finals 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, and Campbell pinned Sullivan in a minute. So maybe it
Oh,
was 2 years. Maybe he's a two-time defending, and this they met up 2 years ago. Now,
okay.
does that mean he's going to pin him in a minute now, 2 years later? No,
No,
not at all. I mean,
right.
Andrew Sullivan is undefeated for a reason.
He is.
Campbell is 46-1. Do I lean Campbell in this matchup? Yes. I mean, yeah, he
I mean,
is
Campbell's only
legit.
loss was to DeMarcus Poe, I think, earlier in the year.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And he's looked good. He teched his way through, but Sullivan pinned his way through in all about a minute. And he pinned a really good Brandon Bethea, not to mention. I mean, Brandon Bethea is a really good wrestler, and he pinned him in a minute. So this is another weight class where you got two really, really good studs. Everybody else is kind of fighting for the podium. And I mean, there's some good names here. Trip Cole, Mari Allen, Levi Hoots, Jaden Mooneyham, Rylan Davis. These are all good wrestlers, but yeah,
But
Brady Campbell.
not at the same level as the top
No,
two.
no, not double state champ level.
Yeah. All right. Moving to 7A 190, and our top seed is Cortland Kendrick out of Florence. Shout out to Florence. Love to see the rise of Florence. I haven't seen a whole lot of wrestlers, take a top seed from Florence. Cooper Cook from Vestavia is your 2 seed. Delvecchio Alston, Hewitt Trustville is your 3. Gavin Whiteside from Enterprise is your 4 seed. You look further down, Colton Rayner from Daphne, Wyatt Massey. There's some good wrestlers at this weight.
Oh my goodness. The bottom half of this bracket, whoever did this deserves to go to jail. No, I'm kidding. This is horrible, but the bottom half of this bracket could be a state tournament by itself. I mean, Delvecchio Alston, um, state placer, Colton Rainier, somebody who's I think a state placer as well. Wyatt Massey, believe state runner up. Cooper Cook, I believe state placer last year. Joey Stevens from Albertville, he I believe only had one loss going into sectionals, lost to Cortland Kendrick. If you haven't seen the match, my favorite match of sectionals, Joey Stevens got out with 3 seconds left on a Granby to tie the match to send it to overtime. Cortland Kendrick almost gets taken down and lat drops and ends up sticking him in overtime. One of my favorite matches. I
Is
mean,
that right?
seriously, take the 8 minutes, 9 minutes to watch that match. It was
I love that.
amazing. And then, you know, yeah, and then DeVecchio Austin Majors Stevens, but yeah, just a fantastic match between those guys. Cortland Kendrick finds his way to the finals, techs Cooper Cook in the finals, which was very surprising. Cooper Cook, Delvecchio Alston had a 15-13 match, another banger
Yeah,
matchup.
where does the tech come from?
I have no idea. It was out of the blue. These were all close matches and then randomly just a tech in the finals. I have not seen Gavin Whiteside from Enterprise, or Brandon Denson, or I saw Caden Irvin from Tuscaloosa County. He's a very good wrestler himself. So this whole bracket is going to be fantastic. And when you see Cortland Kendrick, that's somebody, and I'll just give you a little backstory. He wrestles for Ironclad, I believe, because I've seen him on some posts. Last year, that kid, I believe, was like a 1-2 wrestler at state. I think he made it. Maybe he was 0-2, and he put in a lot of work in the offseason, comes in as the number 1 seed sectional champ. So shout out to that guy. When you see him, you'll be impressed. I promise. He's a specimen. He's very built. So this should be a fun wait.
But like you said, he actually he beat Stevens there in in overtime. What, overtime, right? Yeah, in
Yeah,
overtime
he
for,
beats
for
him in
back.
overtime.
But he has losses to Stevens from earlier in the year.
Yeah, I just this wait. I don't know. I don't
And
know.
then he goes out and texts Cooper Cook.
Tech, not even like not no offense to Cooper Cook. I really like that kid. Super nice kid. Yeah, text him,
But it's
not close.
weird, right? That's
It's
just
just it's
so
an
it's just
anomaly. Like you
weird.
have, because then you have Alston and Cooper Cook having like I said, a 15-13 match, and then you have
Yeah.
Alston having a close match with Massey, and it's like I don't know where these guys are. Whoever shows up that these 3 days is gonna pull it out because I have no idea.
All right, moving to 7A 215. Your number 1 seed is Blake Christian out of Tuscaloosa County. Xerxes Ellison out of Smith Station. Sheldon Sharp, Bob Jones, Early Young from Davidson is your 4 seed. Um, you know, lots of people in the bracket. I kind of feel like things could go lots of different directions at 215, but you know them better than I do.
Yeah, and I'll say this: Jason Brown. The bracket doesn't make sense. This is another one where the seedings doesn't it don't it, they don't work out for the kids. It works out for my kid, but that doesn't mean it's right. You know what I mean? Sheldon Sharp got teched by Jason Brown. Sheldon's the 3 seed, Jason Brown's the 5 seed. I mean, logic, it just doesn't make sense. And so you feel for somebody like Jason Brown, who's clearly a really good wrestler. He made the finals. He did lose 7-2 to Christian, but now he's on the same side as him again. I mean, it's just, and I don't know Xerxes Ellison. I don't know Early Young. These are guys that have been in my rankings. I haven't had a chance to see them. I haven't seen Davidson or Smith Station this year, so I could not tell you how those matches are gonna go. And I don't know them, although it looks like they had a very fun match. It was 12-12 when Ellison pinned Early Young in the sectional final. So it looks like they had a good match. But yeah, you feel for a kid like Jason Brown, who clearly is the recipient of not being a state placer from last year. I mean, it's
Yeah,
that's what it is, and
yeah,
it's not necessarily fair to him. And so, and again, it benefited my kid, but that doesn't mean it's right.
right.
That doesn't mean it's the right
Well,
thing. So
I mean, I guess one way you can look at it is, I mean, Brown will have to, I mean, if he gets to Young, he'll have to beat Young and that sort of thing. But, um, he has just a decision loss to Christian. So, I mean, it's not as if he can't go out and beat everybody in the bracket and win it anyway.
100%.
So,
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, and you never know. I mean, he definitely could still win, but it's just, like I said earlier, seeds matter, and
but we got to get him right too. So,
we got to get them right.
yeah.
You got to get them right. So,
All right, as we move to 285, your number one seed is Baron Criddle from Thompson. Two is John David Livingston from Vestavia. Three, Rodney English from Hoover. Four, Sammy Grimes from Bob Jones. Um, Tell me a little bit about 285.
285 is interesting. Going in, I
Because
thought our
Criddle was a
guy,
215, right?
yeah, Criddle's been a 215 all year. I don't know if it's a weight thing. He just decided I don't want to cut weight anymore. If they saw the path, but they made the right decision, right? I mean, they upset Bob Jones, they upset us, Sam, in the semis 2-0, and then they go and pin in the finals. So yeah, I mean, clearly the right call from them. This weight class, I mean, the top 5, 6 guys in this weight are super good. You have JD Livingston, Marquise Lambert from Daphne's a dark horse here. He's I think a first year wrestler, but he's another just super athlete who can toss anybody. Rodney English, he's been in these rankings all year. Sam obviously was number one. You have Sam and Hunter Montgomery, the 1 and 2 all year, now the 4 and 5 at state. So I mean, you could see a quarters matchup that would have potentially been a finals matchup all year, and now they're meeting in the quarters. And then yeah, Baron Criddle. I mean, got to be the favorite, right? He beats the number one guy. He wins the section with arguably the top 4 or 5 seeds, 6 seeds in the same section. So yeah, he's looking like the favorite.
But again, and it can happen in any way. It can really happen at 285. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you can make a lot of things happen, and it wouldn't be a surprise to me to see any number of individuals kind of climb to the top step at 285 here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I really don't know. I think English would be my one that I'm like he'll probably make the finals. Um, but then again, he lost to Livingston 10-3, so maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
All right. All right. So that is 7A, and we will wrap up 7A. And I know you weren't keeping track of teams and those sorts of things. But I am interested, we talked about at the top, Thompson, Vestavia, Huntsville, and maybe there's not really a pick here. I mean, really, honestly, it may just really come down to who has the best 3 days and can make it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really going to boil down to okay, so the way I see it, right, is Thompson has a good chance to pull another upset, but they're going to have just as good of a tournament in a harder bracket.
Right.
And I
Right,
think
right.
that's
That's
where
actually a good way to look at it.
and I think that's where it boils down to is because Vestavia's seeds are very good, and I think they do lean towards having a better tournament. Whereas Thompson, you had your Brady Walsh making a run to third, you have your Will Atkinson making a run to top four. I mean, you're gonna need those guys to do the same thing in a bracket where you're adding only the top of your section and the top of another section. You don't get any easy advancement points, right?
Yeah.
So I think
Well, the same thing
Vestavia,
happens to, Huntsville, because I mean, you got Yannick Simon or not Yannick,
exactly.
you got Keon Simon and Lil Stifler, Same thing happens to Vestavia with Sullivan and Brady Campbell, who you add to the group. So, I mean,
Yeah, no,
everybody's gonna have to battle.
100%. And again, I think, I mean, if I was a betting man, I'd bet on Vestavia just because again, I think that their seeds worked out a little bit better. I think that their paths are probably a little bit better to score more points. And unfortunately, I think a lot of Thompson and Huntsville guys are just going to knock each other off on the way, and I don't think that's necessarily going to be in favor, of a Thompson upset again. But I could be wrong. I mean, Thompson has a lot of good wrestlers, but yeah, I just
Well,
uh
and Enterprise, I mean, if they could get three champs, I just don't know if they have the depth. That's the only thing.
yeah, Enterprise, yeah, that's
The depth is the issue
it's
in
the depth for
in
sure.
this situation.
Well, and
So
it's almost the same thing with Huntsville, whereas like they have the three or four probable finalists, right? And then you have 10 guys who could either win 4 or 5 matches, win 3, 4 matches, or they could go into.
right.
And yeah, I guess it's just whoever really. I think it'll be the backside. If you're looking at team race, you'll have to really pay attention to these backside matches.
All right, Coach. Well, I appreciate you jumping on. Everybody, thank you for joining us for 7A. Make sure you check out 6A, 5A, 1A through 4A. Also, the last thing I would say is, keep all this in mind in terms of, I mean, this is us just kind of throwing out kind of ideas. I mean, we've seen it, we saw it at sectionals, we've seen it throughout the year. Lots of people can beat lots of different people, styles matter, all sorts of different things will come into play. Who comes in and wrestles a really good weekend? I mean, who's going to be on? Who's going to have a good weight cut? Who's going to be, kind of dialed in and everything else? So it's up to you guys, man, to make it happen. So, Coach, last words?
Yeah, this is my favorite division now that I'm joined up, and I'm super excited for it. I think, you work all year for one goal, and that's to come and show up at this tournament. So, mentally, and this is why I told my kids, expect that every match is going to be hard. And I think if you walk in knowing that, and you're ready for a battle, then I think that it's going to be a lot easier and take a lot of that stress off.
There you go.
'Cause don't get too crazy with your emotions. Just kind of
Right.
just go out and wrestle. Just have
Yeah.
fun and let it loose.
All right, guys, you take care. Best of luck this weekend. Coach, thank you so much.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, man.